So if you can turn your attention to the breath, gentle breathing, the spaciousness of breathing, being breathing. The peace and the tranquility of being, whatever is unfolding, is unfolding effortlessly. And refers to the transparency of presence. And refers to I. Being awareness. Not seeking anything, nothing being pursued, not seeking any experience, an effortless presence that is noticing itself. Nothing being resisted, no agenda, no program, no images that we're trying to fit presence into the images. whatever arises in this spaciousness of awareness. And refers to I awareness, that which is intimate with it, knows it intimately, like the dreamer knows its dreaming mind and the content of its night dreams. Complete intimacy. Before any self-image, is the empty screen of awareness. The I that knows itself as this spacious, empty, aware space. Takes on the form of this perception, this noticing, while remaining as it is, pristine, transparent, aware presence. Feelings arise in this empty space. Sensations, perceptions arise intimately within this vast, open, empty, aware space. Without the possibility of anything being external to it. The essence of every sensation, of every perception, is awareness. Its makeup, its reality is awareness, like the sound of these words. It's awareness sounding. To itself, from itself. It knows its own sounding via itself. There is no other knowingness outside of the knowingness of awareness. In your night dreams, you may travel distant lands, maybe even you may engage in galactic travel, and you may do so seemingly for a period of years and years. And upon your awakening, upon your waking up, you realize the no time and no space. In fact, no time has passed for awareness, and no space has unfolded for awareness. When you contemplate I awareness, this empty aware presence, you do not find any edges, any borders. You do not find a place that is awareness and another place that is not awareness. Even the place that you imagine to be not awareness requires awareness to be known. There are no borders or edges to knowingness. There are no time or space constraints to that which perceives and knows thought and perception. Although you may experience many different perceptions and sensations and thoughts, I awareness do not become affected or transformed or subject or dependent on the perceptions, sensations, or thoughts that arise to you. You may perceive a sunny day or a rainy day. The eye that perceives is neither sunny nor is it rainy. It has no such qualities. And yet, the I is undeniable. I awareness, I presence is undeniable. The reality of being. The thought that may arise that says, I am immortal body-mind, is an object of your perception. And the object of your perception does not know that which perceives it. It is known, but it is not knowing of that which knows it. And thus, it cannot be relied upon to reveal the I that knows it. Only the I knows itself. Only that which is knowing, only that which is, only that which is the reality of perception, the reality of your experience, knows itself. Only reality can know that which is real. This is why Ramana Maharshi used to speak of the I. I, only I knows I. There is one I, and it's self-knowing. This knowingness, the knowingness of the self, of oneself, is not mediated by an object, whether the object is a thought, an experience, a sensation, perception, a memory. It's a direct knowingness. I know I am. And I know I am aware that I am, and I am aware that I am aware. And that I am, is not known by any thought, by any perception, by any sensation. It is the knowingness of thoughts, sensations, and perceptions. It is not the object of the world, body, mind. It is the essence, the reality that stands on its own, and that nothing can stand on its own without it. your inquiry into what is it that truly is, what is it that truly knows, what is the reality of my experience. This inquiry takes you directly from eye to eye, without having to journey in indirect contemplations. So, if you have any questions or comments, we can turn our attention in that direction now.
Hi, Maggie.
Yes, hello Zoe.
Hi. I just wanted to talk a little bit about what's happening, which is that there's just much less resistance to whatever appears in my life, which is just so cool because I don't know what, well, it seems that I've been thrown into a blender with my new job. Like there's just so much to do. And working really long hours and then all this other stuff coming up, but like it just doesn't have the same pull. And I'm able, like this morning, I just wanted to talk about, sometimes I wake up with this feeling of dread, I guess you would call it.
Mm-hmm.
But I was jogging this morning and just thinking about it, and it was like, as I looked at it more and more, it was like a bubble that popped, like, oh, it's a smoke screen for the ego, which doesn't even exist. It's like that feeling of dread. It's like, what is there to protect? What, and as I looked at it, it just kind of, it was like, oh, it just dissolved, even just like popped, I guess would be a better way to describe it. But I just wanted to share that I get, there's not really progress, but in a sense, I guess that structure is dissolving.
Mm-hmm. Yes, yes. It's, I wouldn't say there isn't progress.
Okay, good. I need a star on my forehead.
It's not possible to take at heart the contemplation of our true nature without there being progress. Progress meaning the power that the images of myself and the feelings that are triggered within the body diminishes both in intensity and also in its frequency of appearance. The sense of, what was the word used in the morning? We wake up, the sense of
dread, you know, like something really horrendous is about to happen.
Yes, yes. You know, the sense of dread is takes a while to get dislodged, or to dislodge itself out of the body, to sort of release its grip, you know, from the body. Although we come to understanding that I refers to the transparency of being aware presence that is impersonal and universal presence, although we come to understand that there is a whole aspect of living in our daily life with that understanding, living that understanding. And so the old personal self may arise, you know, like an image about the future, an image about the past. And you will feel it as some sort of anxiety or concern. Sometimes upon waking up, there is a download of images about me and my day. And depending on what type of download it is, we experience it in the body. And to be both inquiring, like you just shared, what do these emotions, who do they relate to? Who do they relate to? To whom are they referring? And you will find that they're referring to thoughts. It's a process of thinking and feeling. So they're actually just a process of thinking and feeling that is sort of like a wave, you know, traveling through the body-mind, traveling through the feeling state. And the feeling state arises in the vastness of awareness.
Yeah, and before, Magdi, you know, I noticed my habitual tendency was to resist, particularly that dread. You know, it's like the body just wants to move and ignore it. And then it was like, wow, just let it be here. And gosh.
Yes. So the noticing the resistance, and of course, you know, remaining still, allowing that wave to manifest. So, you know, judgment is a form of resistance. Of course, having a story or going into thinking is also a form of resistance or avoidance. Or there are many strategies that we have a bag of strategies that we utilize to, as you were saying, avoid the avoidance and the resistance. But once we realize that one aspect of our contemplation is to experience whatever arises at the feeling level into the space of awareness, not into my ideas about how things should be or how the images that I have about my spiritual being, or rather just the spaciousness of awareness, which has no interest in resisting anything. It doesn't even know what resistance means.
Yeah, as I was jogging along thinking about it, I was like, okay, so what is this? This is trying to what's the purpose of this dread? Or it's like trying to keep me from feeling the dread. Well, I already feel it, so it has like no purpose. It's not doing anything. That kind of was like an aha, like, oh, it's already here, it's already being felt.
Yes. You cannot not feel it. It's because it's there. But even when you cover it up, when you veil it with thoughts or other activities, it's still there, you see. And it will pop its head in a different way, in different situation. So we welcome, because as awareness, as presence, as this transparency of being, it's not welcoming. It is made up. Its nature is welcoming. It's thoughtless welcoming. It's like the space in your living room. It's completely welcoming whatever way you furnish it, you see. So similarly, it's this noticing the subtle tendencies. It's really beautiful to notice those tendencies and not to, judge yourself about them, just the simple noticing. There is something very profound about noticing. There's something still and peaceful about noticing.
Yeah.
And noticing doesn't have an agenda. It just sinks deeper and deeper into itself, but it's not trying to do anything. It's like love, it's just sort of. It's unending. It's
and another thing I thought of was that Rumi poem where he talks about being human. You get all these visitors, and something about welcoming them all in or whatever. And like with dread and seeing my particular resistance to it all these years, then I just switched it around. It's like, oh, because dread brings up feeling of loneliness, and I go, oh, wait a minute, here's a visitor. I'm always getting visitors. How kind. How kind is that? Completely connected, all these visitors coming. So
yes, it's beautiful.
Yeah. Thank you, Magdi.
Okay, thank you, Zoe. Any questions?
Maggie, it's Esther.
Hello, Esther.
Hi. Some time ago, you talked about observing older people looking like they're deep in contemplation, but in reality, they're just tired or half asleep, more or less. And I've been wondering about um, the mind in the midst of growing older, and I noticed myself, both my parents got dementia in their older years, and I noticed myself, I can observe myself trying to formulate using words to share a concept or something, and I observe those words not making sense. It's like I can observe the process in myself of this. Um, it's like the mind isn't as sharp and it's not as functioning as it used to. So I can observe that. So that tells me that, I'm not my mind. And I know without a doubt that the mind doesn't have a clue. But yet, I wondered if you would talk about the mind relative to um, being present and aware and what its role is. Like, how does I just talk about that for a bit?
Mm-hmm. Sometimes we get scared some images appear on the screen, and there is a personal reference to these images, and that personal reference responds to the images. But the screen doesn't even perceive images. It is too much in love with itself. It knows that there is only the screen, that the images are just its own way of moving without really moving. So the mind is like the images on the screen. There can be a beautiful sunrise and sunset followed by a stormy weather, which relate to the images on the screen. But the images on the screen is completely impervious to them. you may notice certain manifestations within the body. There may be some thinking, some feeling. The thought, gee, this sentence I just expressed is not very coherent. And it's quite an issue when we're trying hard to be coherent. We can try to be coherent without or let's say with attention to whether our self-image is connected to our success at being coherent. When your sense of self, whichever way you perceive it, is connected to dependent on the functioning of the body-mind, you will experience this conditional happiness. If you are coherent and you feel you are coherent and others feel you are coherent, you are happy. But if you are not coherent, or you feel or think you are not coherent, or others do not feel that you are coherent, you are unhappy. But awareness, the I, what I am, I awareness, is not trying to be coherent. It's not trying to do anything. It simply is, and it knows I am. And this I is neither coherent nor non-coherent. It's not male or female or whatever. It's not old or young. And this is where you need to return over and over to the I that I am. Whatever unfolds in the world, body, mind is God's will. And because we love God, we love God's will. We honor how God appears to us. We recognize the infinity, the transparency, and the universality of I, that is a reflection of God's mind, infinite and eternal. In this recognition, is the peace and the love and the wisdom that on occasion shines onto the human mind, and on occasion is veiled by the bubble that we believe we are, the limited self that we believe we are. At the core of every galaxy, there is the gigantic black hole. As a metaphor, at the core of all mind activities is the stillness of being. And in fact, all mind activities refer to the stillness of being, to the screen of awareness that is transparent, empty, borderless presence. The personal self, personal impressions, personal faults and personal concerns may arise. Remain as you are. Do not journey along the thinking and feeling path because the peace of being does not require any thinking and is not realized via feeling. Give your body mind to God. Be as graceful as possible with it. While your heart is completely embraced and embracing the light of being, God's mind, God's heart.
Thank you so much, Magdi. There's a deep, as you're speaking, I realize there's a deep trust that what I've come to know as truth cannot and will not be taken away or go away.
Beautiful.
And even, I'm not too concerned about the incoherence. In a way, it's kind of funny sometimes. Like yesterday, I went on to satsang and you weren't there, and power wasn't there. Nobody was there, and I thought, oh, Magdi and Tara must be stuck in traffic somewhere. It's like I still didn't get it that it wasn't Thursday.
welcome to the plan.
Yeah, it can be. It kind of like the cartoon character Mr. Magoo. I don't know if you know of Mr. Magoo.
No.
Tara will tell you about. I think
Okay.
our podcast about Well,
Yeah.
I'm kind of Mrs. Magoo.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, thank you
Look
so
it up.
much.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, Mrs. Magoo. All right. We are all Mrs. Magoos, don't you worry. But it's about happiness. A happy Mrs. Magoo.
That's for sure.
Sounds good to me. Yeah. So, any questions?
I think Holly is trying to reach you.
Oh, Holly, maybe, Holly, maybe your mic. Let me see what I can do. Yes, Holly, can you hear me? No, she's not muted.
There was a message on my screen that said, "Can anybody hear me?" Something like that.
Oh, okay. Oh, no, Holly, I don't hear you. Let me type.
She says she's going to type.
Okay. Okay, so for some reason, Holly, okay, well, it could be Holly's mic is not working because I did not mute her. Okay, Holly, I see your question. So, Holly, you're right. I notice that I feel very sure about what you say in the non-dual path. At the same time, I'm seeing some spiritual superiority creeping in. I know this is symptomatic of still viewing myself as separate from others. Can you talk about this? Well, Holly, it's a good thing that you see it. Because by seeing it, it can come into the light, and you're able to therefore contemplate it. That the experience or the feeling of spiritual superiority arises to you, or may arise to you on occasion as a feeling or thoughts, both thoughts and feelings, thinking and feeling. Now, thinking and feeling is the way the separate self maintains itself. Actually, this is what the separate self is thinking and feeling on behalf of I, this person, this particular body-mind. Now, the feelings that arise to you, feelings of superiority, if you look closely at them, you will find that they are not happy. You will experience some sort of imbalance or some sort of dis-ease within yourself. I'm speaking firsthand because I had a similar vasana years ago. And it was sort of nagging at me. There was like a level of, yeah, I got it, I'm it. But there was a nagging level somewhere in the cellar, that was sort of, and because I was really interested in a clean slate, I didn't want to sort of compromise myself. I didn't want to play games with myself. I became really interested in this bad smell that was arising from the cellar. And I decided to really visit it, to go down into the cellar and to check it out, see what's that about, what's happening there, what is it? And at the same time, even in my life, I found some people were getting irritated with me. Some were adoring me, and some were irritated with me. And I was just like irritated by people getting irritated with me. It was about that. It was about that spiritual, what do you say, superiority, the spiritual superiority. The spiritual path is a path from the personal ego to the universal self. It's not about becoming a better ego, like a spiritual ego. The spiritual ego is still a vasana, is still one of the aspects in which the separate self wants to sort of personalize awareness, wants to personalize God, wants to personalize God's mind as my mind. It's still that same process. Of personal images. A better personal image. But when we see it, then the light of awareness shines onto it. And the light of awareness is truly what God's light is. That shines through us in our perceptions and our sensations and meditations. But God's light does not shine through us when we are competing with it, when we are personalizing God's light, saying, okay, you're shining through me, but you're not going to shine anywhere else but through me. I'm going to bottle you up. I'm going to take you inside my bubble, and I'm going to become a spiritual bubble. There's no such thing as a spiritual bubble. Spirit is universal light, the universal aware presence. But when you notice, as you notice this spiritual superiority, there is no need to add to it any judgment. Simply to notice it. To notice it, and you will notice as well the stinkiness of it, the unpleasant aspect of it. So we don't add to what is arising on the screen a personal judgment, a personal resistance, or a personal stamp. We don't place a personal stamp onto what's arising on the screen. We remain as the screen, and we recognize this tendency to appropriate and personalize everything, including God's insight. Because the insights that we have, they're not our own. They come to us and through us to illuminate through you the entire realm. It is not a personal endeavor. Although we may start with the impression that it's a personal endeavor, in time we realize that we are the process via which God is shining its light onto everyone and everything. The love, the compassion, the tenderness, the affection, the compassion is not your own to aggrandize yourself. It is on behalf of the entire realm, the entire dream, not just your own. There's a great humility that develops along your journey. And it's okay that you experience spiritual superiority. It's just a bump along the road. When you bump along the road, the barnacles fall off. There's a humility and the gratitude, because you realize that somehow God knocks on your door. You think that you were out looking for God, but God came knocked on your door. Didn't knock on your door to give you a medal, to make you a great vizier. Knocked on your door to point you towards your heart, your own heart, your very heart, which is the heart of love and the heart of beauty, love and happiness and truth. And that heart is not a personal heart. That heart is a universal heart. It's an impersonal heart. So it's good you're noticing that. Just don't hang out there for too long, okay? Okay, Hardy. I hung out there long enough, okay? So, any questions? Okay, well, if there are no more questions, then thank you all. Isaac, good to see you. Lee. Hello, Isaac. ¿Cómo está? Yes, nice to see you, Isaac. Zoe, John, and Maria. I don't know if I'm missing anybody, but whoever I'm missing, namaste. And thank
Namaste. Thank you, Maggie.
you, Zoe.